Hello, everybody, and thanks for joining me for this week's episode of Waxing with Wade. This is a very special episode. First off, it's episode number 51. We're going to be doing an episode from 1973, the album that is 51 years old. I've got two guests with me today. One is actually going to talk about the album with me, and it's a guest I've had on before. One of three. If you've seen all my episodes, which one is it? We'll see. Anyway, I will let you know who the guest is very soon. But first, we'll say the album we are doing is Tom Waits and his debut album from 1973, recorded when he was only 23 years old, and I'm not sure he'd even turned 24 when it was released. The back is very plain. We got lyrics for all the songs, because his lyrics are fabulous, on both sides of the sleeve. And his first album, 1973. I'll say my other comments so I can have a guest with me here. Let me pause this and I'll reveal the mystery guest. And here we are. Jeff Whittison, my good friend in Wilmington here, has joined me again. And Nora's up here. Say hi to the camera, Nora. You've heard her before on my shows, but never seen her. Okay, Nora, go back to your sleeping. Anyway, glad to introduce her. Glad to have Jeff here. And one reason we're doing this episode, not only from 1973, it is one of Jeff's favorite artists and albums, mine as well. And it's a little different than a lot of the albums we do with the rock and roll guitars from the 70s, and so was last week's. But I think you're going to really enjoy it. And if you don't know this artist, you're going to get introduced to Tom Waits. I'll let Jeff talk about him a little bit, and then I'll tell you some more trivia.
Okay. Well, Tom Waits is one of my favorite artists. I lean towards musicians who are great storytellers and songwriters, and he's just one of the strongest. If you start in the middle of a Tom Waits song, you've already missed the song. You got to start from the beginning to listen to the whole tell and the narrative that he builds up to, and he has a knack for building emotion, and couple that with a strong ability to make a tune, and they're very simple tunes that's like, why doesn't that already exist? And he can just take a simple concept or a simple fact scenario and make it into this gorgeous ballad that is just feels like it's time enduring, and at the same time keeping it completely relatable to low lives, mid lives, and high lives,
Especially low lives.
Yeah, especially low lives.
And which leads me to something I think about when I listen to Tom Waits, particularly his 70s stuff and earlier 80s, when it's more folk and piano driven. And we'll talk in a minute about the genres that he touches on. But he writes a lot of songs from the viewpoint, characters that are in despair and no hope, confused, and no matter that despair or how low life they are, a lot of times they have something insightful to say or to comment on, and the way he phrases things around them just lifts it up.
Yeah, like on one of his most my favorite lyric is from a Bad Liver and a Broken Heart, when he says, "I don't have a drinking problem, except when I don't have a drink."
That's a good Tom Waitism. Waitsism. One of the standout songs for me, and you probably know this song, it's on another album, fabulous album. But if you get a chance, look up and stream this song later. It's beautiful. The House Where Nobody Lived. Do you know that song?
I think that's a Mule Variation.
Probably is, because I wore that CD out. That album's come up a few times, Mule Variations.
It's a great one.
Listen to that album.
I think the first time you won a Grammy was with that.
If I only had it on vinyl. That's the CD era. So,
yeah.
Oh well.
It's a great one.
Let me mention that the Eagles, here's a compliment. Of course, the Eagles weren't a super group at this time. They were doing their third album, On the Border, in '74. They chose to cover the first song on this album a year after Tom Waits released it. And Tom Waits has been covered by many artists since. In fact, I would imagine a couple of the songs we're going to play today you may find familiar, but from another artist. I like Dylan, who comes to mind some for me. He's got that gruffer voice.
Yeah.
He's not a pure, beautiful singer, but he sings wonderfully.
It's like, kind of like you listen to the cover version and you're like, God, it's gorgeous. You listen to their version and it's gorgeous in their own authentic way, but it's not. It doesn't blow you away as far as quality.
Right, they're not hitting 4 octaves. Or
but they, boy, do they make it great.
And then another artist that comes to mind for me with Tom Waits is John Prine, in the storytelling and the turning of phrases, and dealing with everybody, like you said, everyday scenarios, everyday people, and making it relatable. I'm not sure where he's from. But San Diego. I think he is from San Diego. But he came out of LA because he moved up there.
Yeah, he's Southern California.
Yeah, Southern California. Somehow, Waddy Wachtel does not appear on this album. You've heard me mention him in several episodes because he played on just most artists' albums that were on Elektra Asylum Records in the 70s of bands that came out of LA, like Linda Ronstadt, Fleetwood Mac or Buckingham Nicks. Jackson Brown, Warren Zevon, all things that I've covered, or I will cover Jackson Brown. Okay, I've gabbed enough. You have any more comments before we get? Well, I did want to mention you're going to hear this is his most folky, bluesy album. It's not as jazzy as he can be later in the 70s. And he hits a lot of genres over his career. I mean, R&B, funk, jazz, hip hop. I mean, everything.
I don't know about hip hop, but
well, maybe some of that 2000 stuff.
I'll have to look back in his catalog, but definitely like getting closer to industrial music.
Oh, definitely verging on industrial. Which when you hear this album, you'll find shocking. Probably.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Well, and here's another great tell of artists. That something that endears me to an artist, and it's a lot like Neil Young and David Bowie, even more contemporary Radiohead. It's artists who can evolve and change styles, and to the point where
Beck.
Beck. I mean, and Tom Waits is. I mean, when you listen to this record, you think, okay, this guy sings in dark jazz bars with a bottle of whiskey nearby. And then later, if you hear like Swordfish Trombone, Rain Dogs, what's the other one? Bone Machine. Then I mean they're just like, what is that? It becomes like a carnival.
That's right, and like you can't even put him in a genre by that point,
right?
At all.
He's
just like everywhere.
He does nuts. But then he'll dip right back into the old. The old lovely little tunes that just pull at your heartstrings.
Yes.
So
we're going to hear a few of. Fabulous performance he did at his induction to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Neil Young inducted him and had a lot of great things to say about him. And I can't really quote them. I did read them and they were interesting. And I want to thank you for wearing your Tom Waits t-shirt. Second time in a row now he's had the t-shirt and I didn't have one. I don't have a Tom
you
Waits
invite me on when I like an artist, and so I get the shirt that I like the artist to.
So on my Christmas list, Neil Young t-shirt, Tom Waits t-shirt. Okay, let's play the first song covered by the Eagles, and if you know the Eagles well, you'll know this version.
This the thing I love about this song is it's called Old 55.
Old 55.
And it's talking about a car,
Yeah.
Oldsmobile maybe.
I don't know.
The car, but and freeways and trucks and he's riding, and I think people have different interpretations of it, but one of them is that he's going the wrong way on a freeway. I've heard that he's left a lover's house in a rush, maybe like he's a teenager that got caught by the parents and he had to leave the house real quick, or that he's on a date with a girl and it's coming up time for the her curfew, and he's got to get her back to the parents' house before, and so he goes the wrong way on the. Whatever the case, he's on the wrong way on the highway.
Is there something in the lyrics that hints at that?
Yeah.
About going the wrong way.
The headlights coming at him.
Oh, yeah. Of course, that could be in the other lane, But I have to say, Jeff, I've been more into the music. I love his lyrics, but you know his lyrics better than me. As we went for coffee and beignets before to talk about this episode, and I can tell, Jeff.
I think
He knew the lyrics and more than me. I haven't been listening.
I think you went for
enough.
powder sugar and they came up beignets.
Something like that. Okay, Old 55. It is beautiful with the Eagles' beautiful harmony background vocals, but his version, so simple, so awesome.
One, two, three, four. Well, my time went so quickly, I went lickety split out to my old 55. As I pulled away slowly, feeling so holy, God knows I was feeling alive. Now the sun's coming up, I'm riding with lady love. Freeway cars and trucks, stars beginning to fade, and I leave the parade, just a wishing I'd stay longer. Oh Lord, let me tell you that the feeling getting stronger. And it's 6 in the morning, gave me no warning, I had to be on my way.
Oh yeah, it's just gorgeous, and I have to admit, sadly, in the 70s I had no clue who Tom Waits was, but I sure knew who the Eagles were, and I had every one of their albums, and I loved this song. And I noticed they didn't write it, but I'd see like T. Waits on the credit, be like,
Yeah.
oh, who's that?
Well, I mean, a lot of Tom Waits songs people have heard, they don't know, like Rod Stewart's Downtown Train.
Downtown Train.
That
that's
was like a
right.
huge, like
Yeah.
80s, 90s hit
Oh
for him.
yes, I forgot that was.
And that's Tom Waits.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and Nora Jones covered his song "Long Way Home."
Oh yeah.
And I heard the Nora Jones version first, and because I discovered Tom Waits later in my life as well.
Okay, well at least we did.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of which, this is a song that I think I knew maybe by someone else before Tom Waits. I can't put my finger on it.
I'll tell you who I heard it from the first time was Hootie and the Blowfish.
I hope that I don't fall in love with you.
They-
Is it on one of their albums or live?
I think it's on a live version, on
Oh,
a live album. Yeah, and I heard it and I looked at it, I'm like, oh, Tom Waits, okay.
Yeah, this is very catchy little ballad. I love it. Enjoy, folks.
Well, I hope that I won't fall in love with you. Falling in love just makes me blue. Well, the music plays and you display your heart for me to see. I had a beer and now I hear you calling out for me. And I hope that I won't fall in love with you. Well, the road is crowded, people everywhere.
You know what? He also reminds me a little of Jim Croce.
Yeah.
Especially that song.
Yeah,
Go
no,
there.
and we're gonna get to a song later who
Oh, that's right.
I feel like it's a natural,
yeah.
a natural relative of one of Jim
Uh-huh.
Croce's songs, and I'm actually curious who wrote theirs first.
I'm not going to play this next song, but I'm just going to play the first few seconds that you hear his sound that I first knew him sounding like. of the what as you described, the whiskey bottle,
Yeah.
old bar or cabaret, small
End of the night.
no one's there, they're all left.
Exactly.
He's at the piano.
A tie that was loosened, maybe hanging around his neck.
And maybe got a lonesome jazz horn guy
Yeah.
over in the corner that's the
And-
last other guy staying.
Can barely,
Uh,
barely lift his eyelids.
this is called Virginia Avenue, and it, just to cheer the opening, and it's kind of
Well, you know, he wanted this to be more of a jazz album.
he did, and not quite as
So
folky.
the horns you hear come in, it's him insisting, no, I need horns.
This is probably very typical of his sound. A lot of his songs, this kind of mood, this guitar.
Walking on down the chimney,
Trumpet.
trying to find somebody to tell my troubles to. Hell's Club is closing.
Yeah, so that's another
Yeah,
a little
the-
jazzier, a little
the
smoky
muted trumpet, it's very
Yes, when they're muted,
jazz,
yes.
yeah. So he wanted this to be a jazz album. His label, the Asylum label, wanted it to be a folk album. So I think they kind of met in the middle.
Okay, speaking of Jim Croce, we're coming up on, those are the first two songs on the album.
Three.
And first three, excuse me. And now we're going to the sixth one, the last on side one. One of my favorites, but in particular, Jeff said this is his favorite on the album. It is gorgeous, Martha, and very catchy. Martha is the name of it. And is there some Jim Croce tie-in?
Well, not that I'm aware of. It's just personally, Operator by Jim Croce. You know,
Yes, Operator from the
He
previous
calls up
year,
the
yeah.
operator. He said, "I need the number to this. You know, my lover. She's ran away with my friend."
Yeah.
And he goes. He has this, you know, conversation. Maybe it's one-sided conversation with the operator, and at the end, he's like, "Nah, forget it. Never mind." Well, this song, he does the same thing. Operator, I need the number, but that's he actually gets connected to his, you know, long lost love. And in this case, he's like this is like 40. You said earlier he's like 24 years old when he said
23 when he wrote the
yeah, this song is about like a 60-year-old man calling
Yeah.
up a 60-year-old woman
Yeah.
who they haven't seen each other for 40 years.
I know, he's an old soul.
They've all
isn't he?
each had separate lives, and he has that, you know, flash in the pan moment where it's like, you know, this was the love of my life. Look what we lost, and it just tears at your heartstrings. This one.
Yeah, he's just really an old soul kind of.
Yeah, I mean, he does not sound like a 24-year-old
No.
kid on this.
No, not at all. And then there was something else you were telling me about this.
Oh, he had been dating Bette Midler, and Bette Midler sang this song at Saturday Night Live, and she was a performer.
Oh, really? I'd like to
Yeah.
go look up that clip.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, this is Martha. So we're not really being able to do what you said. Got to listen to the whole song.
No,
We can't-
yeah.
So we're not getting to hear these.
This one
full
in particular
stories.
is a whole story. You gotta,
Yeah, but-
you gotta get to the ending to really.
But we don't want to
Get the tearjerker. No.
Episodes.
You at home, go ahead and look it up. And there's a lot of versions out there. I think Tim Buckley did one.
Uh-huh.
It's been covered many times.
Hang on, I hit the reset by accident. It's coming. Okay, Martha.
Another thing he does on this album a lot is he counts people. Counts. No, that's
I did hear it earlier.
Operator, number please. It's been so many years. She remembered my old voice while I fight the tears. Low, low there.
lyrics on the album too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a 24-year-old kid. What does he know about?
23. He was minus 17. He was minus
He was
17.
closer.
when
He
they-
was closer to having being in diapers than he was
I know
to
it.
be the age that he's singing.
All right, we got just a couple more. I'm just going to play a little bit of this song because Jeff and I, when we were having coffee and talking about what songs we might play, I mentioned this one, Ice Cream Man, and I thought, I didn't listen to the lyrics that closely, and I was thinking, yeah, it's not as racy as Ice Cream Man by Van Halen on their album. It's their first album, I think it's on. Anyway, the Ice Cream Man, which is very sexual charged and innuendo, but when I mentioned this song to Jeff, that I was going to play a little of it because the music is different than anything else on here. Just to let you hear a little of that. He said, "Boy, you sure? That's pretty racy." And I said, "Oh, is it?" He told me some of the lyrics. I was like, "Oh, that went by me."
And the lyrics, during the song, you can't really hear them. So, man, it's easy to miss. It's
True.
easy to miss.
True. Well, it's more of a rollicking, upbeat, rocking song. And it's not like these others,
Right.
kind of catchy.
He wouldn't really dip into the whole rock and roll thing until much later in his career.
No, it's not really rock as much as well, judge for yourself. Got this little lead in.
This is the ice cream truck coming down the road.
Okay, so we're the little kitties.
Yeah, and there we go. Now we're starting to dip into the bad parts of the song.
Oh, more of a big band jazz sound. What they call rock way back then. Great guitar. So those are LA studio musicians playing with it. No one of note for me to mention, that I know from other albums or anything. But great musicians, as you could tell.
Yeah.
Oh, he did. I did read this. He insisted. The only thing he cared about was he insisted that whatever musicians, the label, they brought those people in. He didn't know anybody in town really to play on it. He was so young. Was that it be an upright acoustic bass and not an electric
and you
bass.
can hear it.
Yeah.
And that it really swings.
Mhm.
I love an upright bass.
Now let's see. That was a third song on side 2. This is going to be the 5th one, and the last one we play, just a verse of "I love it." You said it's not your favorite. Grapefruit Moon.
No, I love it.
You love it?
Grapefruit Moon.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to play the last one. Okay.
Oh no, I'm just going to talk about it.
Okay.
It's just
Sure.
Well, the last song on the album. Let me mention this, and we'll talk about Grapefruit Moon. That it's an instrumental. It's the only instrumental on the album, and it's the title track, Closing Time, which I found a little unusual. I can't name you another album that the title track is an instrumental, and most of the album has lyrics. But we're going to play Grapefruit Moon, which is, I didn't realize this, you said it's one of his more well-known songs, and I love it.
Yeah, I wouldn't say more of his well-known, but at the time this album came out, I think that was one of the more well-known ones from this album.
Okay.
And it's covered by many people as well.
Okay.
As is almost all of his music. That's
Okay.
very
All right.
worth covering.
Grapefruit Moon.
Grapefruit moon, one star shining
love that song. Wish we had time to let a song play all the way through.
The whole, there's not a bad song on that, and
Oh, no.
they all got great tunes. He obviously was an immensely talented musician. He's just not very proficient on like an instrument. So he plays the piano in all this, but he's not known as being a fantastic pianist.
That's true.
But it's just
Nor vocal as well, nor voice, you know.
Right,
voice is
right,
not-
yeah. And I think I mentioned this to you earlier today that, you know, I don't see him as much as a musician, as an actor playing a musician.
I'm glad you said that because I meant to, in the lead-in, mention that he's appeared in, and most of them are not cameos, they're speaking parts, over 30 films. He is an actor and a musician and activist and all kinds of things. But talk a little bit more about that. Him acting and
he's written music for plays famously, and some of his albums are entirely like supposed to be plays. I don't know if you've ever heard of Alice, but it's about and that's a play that they did in like '92, and he didn't come out with the album until 2002. 10 years later in 2002. About the creation, about, you know, who wrote Alice in Wonderland, I forget his name.
Carol?
Yeah,
Carol?
right.
Yeah.
There you go. It's a weird, it's a great
I
album.
meant, like, you said something about him acting in his music.
Oh yeah,
that's
and I mean, a lot of people see Tom Waits as, you know, he's not really being genuine, authentic himself. He's portraying what he wants you to see as him, which is this, you know,
He's acting.
Yeah, this downbeat, out of luck, you know.
Yeah, you're right. Man, it's very insightful, Jeff. And you said something earlier, about how he's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but most of his music's not really rock.
No.
But you said he could be in the Performance Artist Hall of Fame, and you mentioned some others.
I don't think I said that.
Yeah, you did.
No.
You said he could be in all kinds of Hall of Fames, the Performance Artist Hall of Fame, the Jazz Hall of Fame.
I think you said Neil Young introduced him to the Hall. I think Neil Young said that about him.
Oh, maybe so. Maybe I read that. And he said he could be in the Performance
Who I
Artist
love
Hall
Neil
of Fame.
Young, and if you're gonna call me Neil Young, I'll take it.
Man, I swore we were talking about that over coffee, but it must have been the beignets.
But yeah.
Okay, time to wrap it up. I did mention, you know, I do not have this album, the original. This is a master repressing that I got as a gift. The album is so thick, you could almost sit on it and it wouldn't bend, and probably cost 30, 40 bucks. And the, you know, the cover is beautiful and pristine. I would love to have an original copy from '73, but those are going to be 30, 40 bucks if you find one in a record store. So anyway, next week, don't know if I'll have a guest or not, who knows, but I will be doing episode 52, so come back and join. It might be an album from 1972, or it might not.
You could do the Jim Croce one.
I don't know if I have that, though. I just best of.
All right.
So come back and join us for another Waxing with Wade.